Delighted to have you here. We have a representative number of questions that came via email, and we're going to make every attempt to state those questions and answer them today. And actually, most of the questions that I have heard from people are summed up in probably maybe 5 or 6 questions. And then you'll have an opportunity to ask your questions as well. And so I just want to introduce to you, this is our transitional focus team right here. And I just want to personally thank every one of these folks. There's Marion, yes. They really are doing some heavy lifting on your behalf. And they spend a tremendous amount of time here. And you go and eat lunch, and we chew on a bologna sandwich in that room over there. And it's rare that we meet for less than an hour and a half on Sunday after church. And so I feel deeply indebted to them, and I'm developing quite a fellowship with these people as we're serving the Lord here. And then also, Clayton, where did Clayton go? Is Clayton sitting down over there? All right, so Clayton Patterson is the chair of the Properties Council. And so, Clayton, thank you for your hard work. And these folks are going to do everything in their power to help create good answers to your questions. And at this time, I want to recognize Alan Watts, who's going to come and start. And Alan is going to serve sort of as our spokesman today, but we will team up as necessary. Oh, he's behind me. There you go.
Bear with me. Just a real quick preliminary comment is that we got asked to serve in this capacity back, October, November, towards the end of last year. We met a few times with preliminaries. The holidays came and went, and then we got back on track again in January. To give you an idea what the focus team is doing, working towards, Tony came to us with a very detailed plan of how we need to do certain things in order to move forward and be a vital, growing, mission-minded church. One of the first things that you do is you look and you say, who are we? What do we do now? Where are we? Where have we been? The results of that on the board out there with the comments that we all did that particular day. You've seen some of the work that we've done and things that we've talked about in a couple of letters that we put out called, we call that, what's the score? And specifically, we found and were given from Tommy Langford's team and the folks that looked at about mergers this past summer, we took those 12 items that said, this is where churches go. We didn't just give lip service and pass off. We sat and spent time discussing and worked on those. We came back with several ideas. One that was pretty obvious that y'all all read. We're not going to close the doors and give the property away. We're not going to try to close the doors and go move somewhere else. We figured out and looked towards, and it looked like the most viable option for us right now, and especially with COVID, is to stay the course, to continue some of the stuff that we have been doing already, and to improve on that if we could. Specifically, and I'll just say it out loud like Tony does, exactly what it is. We have on our campus right now somebody's got to help me pronounce it, Eritrean. We have an Eritrean, we have an Ethiopian, we have 2 Zoe churches that use space from us. These are churches that are able to reach areas that we can't. They don't listen to us. So therefore, we also are in the process of having Gospel Hope, a more contemporary style, growing Baptist church that will be meeting on our campus. We have consciously worked towards and considered and advised and listened to Tony's choice for sermons, the subject matter that comes about, there's no accident in what he's talking. We've got a long way to go. We don't feel that right now is the time that we just go out and get a search team and search for a pastor, that we're not real sure who we are just yet. We're going to be getting into that a little bit more. And I don't know, is there anything else that we'd share at this point?
We're approaching the middle of the process.
Okay, yeah, we're about halfway through his guideline and his outline and the process in which we will do, and then we'll proceed from there, find where we are, and take the next best step that we can as we're guided. Ask for questions. Are there any questions that we can answer for you? That's what we hear. That's what it said, a Q&A time, so here I stand. Gail.
I don't have a question, but you made reference that we had received questions, and so I was thinking that we could go through that list of questions after Gail's. Thank you so much, Tony.
Do what? Okay. I'm going to read. We did receive a number of questions by email, and I have those here in my hand. Hang on. Excuse me. I'm good for right now. A great number of questions that we've gotten, specifically just about all of them, or a large number, have been about use of the Family Life Center by Gospel Hope and whether or not it will interfere with our work there. Clayton, you're chairman of the Properties Council. A lot of this is here. Why don't you come up here and share the specifics of that?
All right. Good morning, everyone. Back up. Sorry about that. Habits. All right. We did come up with a lease agreement with the Gospel Hope Baptist Church. And the spaces that they'll be leasing from us are specifically the Family Life Center and the lobby, excluding the kitchen. They've got 2 closets. There's one on the south side of the building and one in the storage area in the kitchen, or kitchen utility area. They've got 2 offices. We rented them. They're going to share some workroom space and some other office areas from time to time if it's required. They've got the bathroom and the halls, of course, that are on the floor with the first floor of Family Life Center. They've got the black box theater, which is the 2nd floor. I think everybody knows where that's at. The daycare space, and that is subject to the preschool use. If we decide to go back with the preschool academy, that kind of plays into that. And classroom space on the 2nd floor C building. And that's also subject to the needs that First Baptist may have going forward. That's pretty much it, where we're at right now. Does anybody have any questions about anything with the lease? Sure. No, absolutely. I get that. I know there was some concern there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to not get too loud because the southern drawl kind of can get lost in the mix. Appreciate it. No, there is, what's that? Okay, her question was how are we, and correct me if I'm wrong in that, how is Gospel Hope going to be using the space in the Family Life Center, and how will that affect us using it in the future? Is that pretty much it? Okay. Basically, they're going to be using this Family Life Center for their worships. There's where they're going to worship at. Given prior note, we can give them prior notice when we want to use the space. But there's I want to say, usually it's a 7-day. Well, no, pardon that, 3. They've got that we can request use of the space from them. We give them notice that we want to use the space. They'll clear out partially or fully, however we need to use it. So it's just basically giving them notice of when we want to use that space. Sure. Yes, they are actually, the lease agreement begins on the 1st of March. We are allowing them, per the lease agreement, we're allowing them on the 15th of February to start moving in their own stuff. They will not be using anything of ours. They have their own AV equipment, they're moving that in themselves. And like I said, if we need the space, per written notice, they need to move it so we can use it. Anything else? No, I don't think so. The question was, did they use it on Wednesday nights? And no, I don't believe they do.
In other words, we could resume
Yes.
family night dinners without any problem.
Yeah, given the relief from the COVID, question was, can we resume our Sunday night dinner or Wednesday night dinners? Given if the opportunity arises where COVID kind of slackens off, we still have access, so we can still have our Wednesday night meetings, our Wednesday night suppers, such like that, which is all kind of swings on the COVID situation anyway. But yeah, we'll be able to have access to that. Yes, Annette? Okay, well, I get that, and she's referencing the parking situation as far as handicap parking. That would be another issue that the Properties Council would have to sit down and negotiate out, but yeah, that's something separate that was not part of the license agreement, but it's certainly something that I can bring before the Properties Council, absolutely. Okay.
Let me, well, no, I'm going to ask, I'm going to read, these were actually submitted by email, and I'm going to present them right now to Clayton, and he's going to stand here and answer these. How about that?
I tried.
All right, you've addressed this already. I'm pretty sure I heard you right. Gospel Hope will not have given, oh, that's the answer. I guess the question, wait a minute, somebody handed me this, and I haven't had a chance to go, through it completely. Apparently, the question was, will Gospel Hope have kitchen privileges?
No, they will not.
Okay. We've answered this. The second one was about Wednesday nights. Will Gospel Hope be using the preschool in the children's area?
Yes, they will. They have that was something that they specifically requested within the lease agreement. We ended up letting them lease the nursery area, pending the preschool academy if it begins back up. That was part of the agreement developed. But yes, they will be using the nursery and the preschool.
And not just the preschool academy, but the contract specifically says, subject to our needs. And so our needs are first, they can use after we use what we do. So.
Financially, we have dissolved the preschool academy.
Sorry?
Yes.
Financially, we have dissolved the preschool
Right.
academy.
Yeah, I remember that.
So it was preschool, Sunday school, not the academy.
Yeah.
Okay. What about parking? I'm sorry? Oh, Barbie was just reminding, Clayton said if the preschool starts again, the finance council has pretty much said there won't be a preschool anymore. My understanding, is that correct? Yeah, preschool's been dissolved by the finance council. When we're talking about the preschool, our preschool needs, I don't see any, but if we had some preschool children, they would be able to be there first. Okay, now, what about parking?
I'm sorry, I don't even know what to say about parking.
Realistically, we did talk about it in our properties council meeting. I'm not sure I see a big deal, to be perfectly frank. We start 30 minutes before they do anyway. We'll be here prior to them. There aren't enough cars to fill up both parking lots over here. We may have to walk a little further. We will assess whether or not we have enough handicap spots or not as time goes on. But that's really not an area that we felt was a major concern. You sure?
I just want to make one quick comment. I feel absolutely certain, based on everything I know about the guys at Gospel Hope, if we say to them, could you please just consider our congregation when it comes to where you park, I think this becomes a non-issue just like that. So I have zero anxiety about the parking because that really is their spirit and their heart. So, and they're young, so they're a lot younger. Go ahead.
Well, and they are young, and so I know that we're utilizing our handicap parking, which is sufficient for these buildings as they were designed. So we have enough handicap spaces for these buildings and structures. But please also remember this congregation has 7 pregnancies. They have babies and small children, and so we're going to need to be respectful of their need to park near the nursery as well. This really, I mean, if this is going to work for everybody, then we all have to be respectful of one another. So if it means that we walk a few extra feet so that somebody can take their baby to the nursery, we're going to need to remember that too.
Sure. Yes, Eunice. My understanding that they have an 11 o'clock, they start at 11 o'clock and sometimes they get through at 12:30 and sometimes they don't. Right, and then, yeah, all that's, COVID related and down the road. We did put in our contract situations though where we would, again, we have first rights on Sunday school areas where we share space and nursery areas where we share space.
Alan, I think you should read all the questions.
What?
I think you should read all the questions that have been submitted, because that's what we asked.
Yeah, well, we're going, we'll finish this list and then we'll come back up there. I'd ask you about parking. A question about, will they make any facility modifications?
Nothing permanent right now. They're, anything they decide to alter, they have to ask permission to do it. As of right now, there's nothing being altered. So they just can't come here and just do whatever they'd like to do. So.
Will they be following CDC protocols for COVID?
Yes, they are pretty much operating as we are right now. Social distancing, wearing their masks, very, very similar worship procedures as we are.
Who's going to be handling any cleaning that needs to be done?
Currently, right now, we are going to take care of the bathrooms that are in those facilities. We actually ended up crunching the numbers on that. It was actually included in the lease agreement as far as the fees.
I'll add to that we talked at length with Eddie and with Chris about who and how we could do it. We spent time with the folks at Gospel Hope to discuss with them their needs and what it was. Eddie says right now there's no way that it's going to overtax us to take care of what needs to be done. Yeah, I'm going to. Somebody had a question, we'll interrupt this list and then come back to it. I can't hear. What you want?
Yeah, the question was, how is the lease structured as far as annual? Is that accurate? Yes, it's an annual agreement. That's how that is. And either party can cancel given a 7 days prior written notice on that. 30-day notice on that? Okay.
It's annual is for 1 year, but either side can opt out with 30-day notice. In fact, I'll go back to my list. That was on this list as well. The second question I have here, what are the different spaces? Well, that's been discussed. When will they be meeting? We just discussed that. Will they be using the parking area? We've discussed. Yeah. I can't understand what you're saying.
They're only meeting Sunday mornings.
Only on Sunday mornings, but now let's remember, Gospel Hope's not the only congregation. Zoe Baptist Church is here on Sunday morning and Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. They have contract for that. They come at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. The second Zoe Baptist Church meets at 2 o'clock in Arnold Smith on Sunday afternoons as well. There are multiple things going on here, so it's it's more than just Gospel Hope too. We've touched on all the questions here that I have. What was it?
Are they having Sunday school or they're here?
The question is, do they have Sunday school? Right now, they're not having Sunday school because of COVID. They do have Sunday school, and it's included in our agreement that they could use some Sunday school rooms on the second floor of what number building is that? C building. Again, subject to our needs, so we won't be giving them rooms that we have to have. The contract's written that way as well. Yes, Gail. What the question that Gail presented was there a vote on about whether there would be a merger or not? No, there was no vote. That's never been considered. That's not part of anything. In fact, the focus team has pretty much decided that that's not an issue at all right now. We're not even going to consider that. What happened is that. No, this it never came up, really. It didn't. Hang on a minute, Jeff. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Gail's discussing the fact, did this come up? She was surprised that they're coming here. We had talked, last summer about mergings and things like that. The merging part's off the table, not considered, period. In December, we got a request from Gospel Hope, and it specifically said that they knew that we were using our facilities to help church plants do their worship. Would we be interested in talking to them? We met 2 or 3 times in December. The Properties Council did. They looked at the facility. They came back and asked to rent or use some of our space. We had about 4 Properties Council meetings, discussed specifics, worked out the details of the contracts, making sure that our interests were served, and voted then to approve the licensing of the space. Yeah, well, that's kind of, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not mistaken, because I went back and listened on purpose. It specifically talked about that in January 24th sermon. We've talked about it a couple of Wednesday nights since then. And so that's not been part of it here. Well, I've never made a mistake before, so I don't know how I did. Janet, were you? She said she couldn't hear, Kathy. Y'all know of anything else? Are there any other questions? I covered the questions that I got handed to me email-wise. Yes, ma'am. That's fine.
Okay, there's a question that says, how is the rental agreement set up? Is there an out if something very difficult comes up and it's not working?
We answered that. There's the 30-day written notice from either side, right? We got a lawyer on our committee, by the way. Are there any other questions? Thanks. Let me just tell you. I'm sorry. Did I hear something? I'm sorry. Did you say when it started? Yeah, we said that already. We said the official time period is March 1. Our understanding is they want to have service March 14th, which is their anniversary. We're going to be in here at 10:30. There won't be anybody in the parking lot, at least I think, or there might be some early people coming. They'll have their service over there. They'll still be meeting. We'll have our service here. We'll go home, and then sometime in the afternoon, they'll go home. So really don't think it will affect much at all. Clayton's chairman of the Properties Council. If you got any questions further about that, talk to him. Okay, preacher, what do you want?
What did you say, Mary? Yeah. I'll explain that, yes. Okay, good. Let me assure you that let me just restate, I feel I need to do this. The rental agreement with Gospel Hope is an attempt to help them and to, I think, encourage us with what is actually going on here at this campus. It is not a step toward a merger. It is a new idea rather than merger. Merger is off the table, okay? And I want to be sure that we understand that. None of us can control whether that ever comes up again, but I will tell you that I see no need to think down that road for the foreseeable future, because we're going to be providing a flexible kind of space for them. They're not going to come in here and make changes to the building or any of those things. They're going to adorn the fellowship hall to make it a little more like a worship place. But it's not going to be in our way. And so there really is these, please know, the Properties Council, the feasibility team has just done, the transitional focus team and the feasibility team with information that there's been a lot of labor to this point. It's all been for Avondale's benefit. And thank you. So we really are at a very fascinating threshold right now, and there's all kinds of possibilities. So I just want to say that, and I want to say, sure. Yeah. Okay, so you mean in terms of support staff? Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thought. It's a good thought. And Eddie and I we've had conversations, something about, with the increased activity, and we already don't have a secretary or a receptionist, are we considering adding someone? So I don't know that it's in the budget this year. I'm not sure about that. I don't know if I can totally answer that right now, but,
I'm not, the question about are we going to add in secretarial staff, right? I heard that correctly. Because I don't know what increased activity you might be referring to. They don't have offices at all now. They're not coming in to set up there. This is just to give them a place to put to have a place to put his briefcase down rather than leaving out on the sidewalk someplace or there. You know, they right now do all their own administrative work. They have an administrative person who handles all their stuff. In fact, I'll tell you what they're doing now. They're working out of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. If they need anything, they go over to Briar Lake and pay them copy by copy that they make there. So they have all their own support staff. We won't be involved in that, period.
we may let their support person sit out front and answer the door. You know, that might be a great little thing. You see, my mind's running too on that one. So, yeah. But we, you know, this is, oh, Annette, I'm sorry. Yeah. And they're going to be using some of the office space in our office suite. Yeah, they are. And so all of that's been arranged and is part of the agreement. So yes, and so that and there are always things that, you know, are not totally nailed down, and you do it in motion, you know. But yeah, I think that we're with a very clear agreement. I want to just reiterate, Avondale at all times has the first position on a space. We have not in any way yielded control of any space. And if we both need the same space, Avondale has the preferred decision. We're in first spot for that. But I think that is really a matter of just working well with them, which I totally foresee happening. Okay.
About how many people usually attend those? How many people does our auditorium host?
I think, I don't, Eddie, the,
100 is how many they anticipate, but they assume that it'll hold 200 in the configuration.
okay, so the configuration they're going for in the fellowship hall will be a capacity of 200. Right now, they're anticipating around 100 in there. And we're all in this COVID mode right now, so everyone's attendance is down. And so, I mean, we don't even know really what we're going to be when COVID lifts, and they're kind of in the same boat. They're in the same boat, yeah. But you know, just know that Eddie knows everything going on. He just does. I've noticed that, and I didn't have a guy like him in the last church I helped, and I'm telling you, if I'm sane, he's the one keeping me sane, because I couldn't keep up with all of this. So, and he knows. So, okay. And but I wanted to be quite clear that this seems to be a freeing option for us to bless that congregation. And I want to say it, they're growing and they're reaching people. And as the transitional focus team, we're at the place where we're starting to talk about what is our vision, okay? And so we're kind of getting down toward the middle of those 8 steps. We're like steps 3 and 4 right now. What is our vision going to be? And so all of the transitional process is aimed at First Baptist Avondale, okay? The idea of partnering in this way, in just a lease agreement with Gospel Hope, seems to be a great win-win for everyone. But that is not the substance of the transition. Okay? The substance of the transition is for us to reimagine our vision and our future, for us to revitalize church practices, all right, with our eye on the future of this ministry. And so we are working on that. And frankly, our role becomes a lot simpler having this decision made and no longer being dialogued about. We can focus in a very pure and intense way on the transition proper. Okay, so there are 8 steps. When you called me, and I realize some of you didn't understand this, when you called me to come and lead the church through 8 steps. And so the 7th one has to do with a pastor for the future. But everything before step 7 is getting ready, not only for that, but we have to be in a place where we feel like we know what our vision is, we understand some things about our future, and that informs what we do when it comes to the next pastor. A church shouldn't call a pastor without knowing their own heart and their own vision and their own future. You want to hire to that, if you please. And so that's the process that we're going through. And we, from this day forward, will be more purely focused on that than we have been up to this point, I believe, as a team, okay? So thank you so much for sticking around. We appreciate your interest, and our desire is to create as much clarity as possible. And so those of you watching from home, we are so glad that you tuned in, and we hope this has been helpful to you as well, okay? Shall we dismiss? All right. We have, so those of you that mentioned, that watched on Wednesday, we have those copies of the Baptist Faith and Message that are over here for you to take, and they're on that front pew. And so they're there, okay? All right, all right. God, thank you for this wonderful day of worship and service. Thank you that we can join our hearts now and discuss these items. And we do pray, God, for all of the churches that rent space here, that we just want to be a blessing and an aid to their gospel endeavors. And God, we lift up Avondale, and we ask that you would lead us and give us boldness to trust you with the things that are on your heart. We pray in Jesus' name, amen.